What is up, watch friends? Welcome to Friday. It's Friday. Another episode of Talking Timepieces with Tony. I'm Tony, and today is the Q&A. So if you're a new subscriber or you're not really familiar with the Q&A, every Friday we do the Q&A. And if you would like to be featured in the Q&A, all you got to do is ask your question in the comments below, and it will be featured on an upcoming episode of Talking Timepieces with Tony. We have fun doing this. Sometimes we get some great questions, sometimes not so great, but hey, you know what I mean? So it's all good. Also, please make sure before you ask your question that if you were watching a previous Q&A that you watch the whole thing, because sometimes, and it happens a lot, the question that you ask had just been answered in the previous Q&A. It's just people don't watch it till the end. And I got a whole lot, I got a few on the Nomos Tangente where I got the rubber straps. Like, I straight up say where I got them and what they are. So simple as that. Today I am wearing my Vacheron Constantin Patrimony 40 millimeter. If you watched the video last week, it's not a watch I usually wear, but I am trying to wear it and I'm trying to bond with it again. But it's like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be selling it or not. But anyway, it looks good on this green strap. What are you guys wearing? One of my viewers asked me it would be a good idea if I asked you guys what you're wearing. And I thought, yeah, why not? What are you guys wearing? Let me know in the comments below. Then, of course, ask your question for next week's Q&A or the following week. So anyway, let's roll the intro and we'll get into it. All right, so having a problem with my remote thingy. Anyway, first question comes from PQ19476. Hey Tony, I'm having my first baby this week. Congratulations, man. That's got to be a hard thing. How did that happen? Sorry, man. If you were to give your first boy a watch when he's 21, which should it be? Rolex Datejust Vintage, Tudor Ranger, Omega Railmaster, or a Grand Seiko Elegance GMT? Keep rocking, you absolute stud. All right, thanks. So I guess that you are female. I don't know, you know, but congratulations on having your first baby. That's awesome. And as far as what watch would I give him, I mean, by the time the kid's 21, they're all pretty much going to be vintage, and that Rolex is going to be even more vintage. So I don't know. I think I would be. It depends how the kid is. You know what I mean? How he turns out. You know, what were they good? Were they bad? What did they end up? Did they go down the wrong path? Did they, you know, there was a lot of variance if I was to give a watch to him, you know what I mean? Plus, I would, have to introduce him into watches, and if he shows interest, you know, let him sort of organically get into it with your help, and then at that time, if the world is still here, then, ask them what they want. For me, if it came down to it and everything worked out fine, I would go with the Rolex. You know what I mean? That's just the way I am. I'm not a huge fan of the Railmaster. Grand Seiko, I'm not a huge fan of. The Tudor Ranger is a Tudor Ranger. I mean, they're pretty basic, but yeah. But good luck, best of luck, congratulations again, and thanks for your question. This one comes from 305_RS3. Would you ever buy an Oyster Flex Daytona? If so, which one? Opinion on the new diamond bezel Oyster Flex Daytonas. Well, I'll give you first my opinion on the diamond bezel Oyster Flex Daytonas. I mean, I think they look nice. I mean, I wouldn't wear it. I'm not blingy like that, man. It's just not my thing whatsoever. And would I ever buy an Oyster Flex Daytona? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't buy another Daytona, period. Not that I don't like the watch. It's a great watch, you know what I mean? But it's not legible. And for me, I know some people are different. Well, you got your phone to tell the time on, and you don't need your watch to tell the time on. I like to be able to tell the time on my watch, and I like to read it. I like to be able to look at it and go, okay, this is what the time is. You know, I don't want to look at it and go, oh shit, I can't see what time it is. Let me put my glasses on, my reading glasses, if I have my other glasses on. You know what I mean? So say, for instance, I was driving and I got my driving glasses or driving sunglasses, and I just want to look at my wrist to see what time it is. I wouldn't be able to tell. That's the problem with Daytonas, man. They're not legible. Um, and that's the funny thing. You'd think that's something that they could take care of really easily, because if you look at the Zenith Chronomaster Sport, very similar in aesthetics. I could tell the time with my glasses off, like everything's real blurry right there, but I can actually read the watch without any glasses on if need be, you know. So as far as that goes, I hope that answers your question. Well, it better, because that's what my opinion was. But thanks for your question, man. I appreciate it. This is from Dalo the Man 1. You were so excited you forgot the intro. Love the intro. Great outro, by the way. Here's my question. Do you ever sell watches? And if so, what's your process? I think you're talking about the Vacheron. I didn't use an intro for that. It had nothing to do with being excited, because I wasn't really all that excited. It's just I didn't put the intro in for that particular video. I often do that. Do I ever sell watches? Yeah, man. If I didn't, I'd have 1,000 freaking watches, So what's my process? It's basically something like this. All right, this is a watch I've had for a while, a long time, and I'm not sure if I want to keep it or not. Okay, but at the same time, I have to think: can I get another Vacheron, or can I get a Patek Philippe if I got rid of this? And I'm talking about new. I'm not talking about buying something on the gray market. So, and I think this watch is super classy, so I'm hanging on to it. I have other watches like the Cartier Santos, for instance, Breitling, the Omegas. I sort of fall out of love with them, and I go, okay, I'm not wearing it, so why keep it? I could sell it, and I'll take a huge loss, because I've taken huge losses on watches. If I told you how much money I lost on watches, you guys would be like, what the, you know what I mean? I could have bought a new car for the amount of money I lost. So I have to be willing to take that hit. If it's if you buy a new watch and you sell it a couple weeks later and you take a $3,000 hit, man, you got to sort of go, okay, am I prepared to lose that much money? It's just part of it, so it's like leasing a watch, you know what I mean? You're wearing it for a period of time, and then you move on, and then you go, well, this cost me this much for this amount of time to wear this watch. But we all do this with cars, don't we? You buy a car, and then when you sell it, you lose a shit ton of money. We're talking general cars. I'm not talking about like Porsche GT3, GTR3 or whatever, but things like that. You buy a car, and then after a period of time, it's not worth that much, and you trade it in or you sell it and you get another one, right? So that's that. And then I'm not going to tell you who or what. With my Vacheron, I sent Juan, my AD, a text. I said, hey man, if you know anybody, let me know. I'm still not sure if I want to get rid of it, though. You know what I mean? I'm kind of falling in love with it again, I think. But it's not a daily, everyday watch. It's not like a beater watch. These watches are delicate. They're fragile. They're it's what they are. It's not like a Submariner. You know what I mean? But thanks for your question. This one comes from Amala's Adventures 3638. Now, this is a really long sort of thing. If you can, you guys, if you can try to keep it to where I can screenshot it and then print it out, that's great. But sometimes I get these long ass things, right? Which is fine, but I have to cut it and do it in 2 parts. And that's the only where I know where it comes from. I know it's kind of an antiquated way that I do it, but that's just the way I do it. And this one, I cut it off to where I'm not sure. So I'm gonna try on this one. Hey T, hope life is treating you well. I'm looking for your opinion on my current AD situation. I have a decent spend history with my AD and have been a regular face at the store over the last few years. I do get offered watches regularly. Believe it or not, I have actually had 3 Pateks and 5 Rolex watches offered to me since May. Unfortunately, they were not watches that I wanted in my collection, and I hadn't previously registered interest in them. The watches were offered to me on 2 separate occasions whilst I was in the store shopping for jewelry for my wife. Do you think that my relationship with the AD could be negatively impacted due to the fact that I passed on the offered watches? They were quite desirable models, just not what I'm looking for at the moment. I did go on to spend five. Okay, and that's where I cut and whatever. You spent a lot of money, I get it. My AD, I've always had a positive experience, and I haven't had to wait more than 6 months to receive a watch from them, Rolex included. 2 days ago, I went back and registered my interest for a 36mm turquoise OP. My usual sales rep seemed noticeably more negative. She registered my interest, but said it would likely take some time and it could be difficult. This is very different than the response I've had from her in the past. I've always had a good relationship with the rep, and they have allocated steel sports and full gold pieces for me previously. The market seems to be softening here, and they have come through on more desirable pieces in the past. Are they pissed, or is this watch really that hard to resource at the moment? Would love to hear your thoughts. Okay, so you've got a pretty good spend history. That's awesome, man. And turning down watches. I mean, it used to be a thing. If you turn down a Rolex, if you wanted to get a Submariner and they offered you a Explorer, if you turned down the Explorer because you want the Submariner, then that would be it. You know what I mean? That was a few years ago. Those days are kind of gone now. You know what I mean? You can't buy shit you don't want. And a lot of people don't understand this either, because people that, and this is common knowledge, that the people say, my AD wanted me to spend this much and buy this and this bracelet and this watch before I could even be thought of for a Rolex. And that's all bullshit. That comes from people that only heard the rumors that that's what happens, that were started by the gray market dealers, because the gray market dealers want you to purchase watches from them. So they want to make it sound like it's impossible for you to get a Rolex. What do? You go to the gray market. This is all started from the gray market bullshit. Granted, going into the AD, you still have to do it in a way that they want to sell, that they're going to like you. If they've got a certain watch that's sought after and 100 or 1,000 other people want it, and you got to make them go, well, we want to give it to you and not this person, right? And spending helps. They're not going to just lead you over to the jewelry department. Like, you bought jewelry for your wife because you said you bought jewelry for your wife, right? But don't buy shit you don't want. Doesn't matter if it's Patek Philippe, if it's another Rolex, whatever it is, if it's been offered to you. Just, hey, man, it's not my thing. I do that all the time with Juan. Juan will sit there and go, hey, what do you think of this Omega? And I go, dude, get that thing away from me. I don't do it like that, but you know what I mean. And so, and it hasn't, there were so many people that said to me, through my channel, oh, the way that you acted, you'll never get the GMT now. You know what I mean? But there you go. I get a GMT. You'll never get a Daytona because the way, and then I get a Daytona. You know what I mean? It's like, it's being straight up and it's being authentic. I'm just telling this. I'm not scolding you or anyone. I'm just saying that if you get offered a watch, you don't want it, and they should respect that. And you certainly spent enough money by the sound of it. Keep in mind, a sales rep is also a person. They could have had a bad day. You know what I mean? Someone earlier could have come in and fucking told you that they could buy and sell you 5 times over and fuck your store. You know what I mean? And that may have, you don't know what kind of day they're having. So, and to source that 36mm turquoise OP, they're not sourcing it. It's coming from Rolex. So it's not being sourced at any other means other than coming from Rolex. So it's how many they make as opposed to how many people want it. Not too many ADs those don't come in a lot. You know what I mean? So I would say, if they're pissed, they're pissed. I don't know, but because I wasn't there, I didn't see it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if they said they were going to try to get it for you with certainly the amount of money you spent, then hopefully you'll get it, man. And I hope it works out all for you on that one. So good luck. Let me know. Appreciate your question. Next one comes from Redondo_Dom. Tony, you the man. Thanks, you the man. Thanks for answering so many of my questions. You are welcome. This is what I do. I answer people's questions. I respond to comments. I do all that stuff. What were you into in the beginning of collecting watches that you're not into anymore? Well, my funny enough, my tastes have been fairly consistent from when I was young. You know, um, the only thing I would say when you're starting to get into luxury or before luxury, something like Guess watches or Fossil watches, department store watches, you know. I mean, there was a period in time where I thought Tag Heuer were the all end of everything. I thought Movado was the end all. Once you had a Movado, dude, I remember I had a Movado when I was pretty young in my 20s. People always like, oh, dude, that's a Movado. That's a Movado. Because back then we didn't have our phones, and people did wear watches, and people did pay attention. You know what I mean? So like something like a Movado, which I still have, my old Movado, um, or the Tag Heuer Link or something like that. It's something I wouldn't buy now. So I don't know if it's been. I've always loved dress watches. I've I've just always loved watches. You know what I mean? So I can't really say. I mean, and I even still I go through this. Well, I want that, and then a week later I don't want it. You know what I mean? And it's like one of those things. It's like you have to really think when I buy something. I can't just do it off the spur of the second. Yeah, but that's kind of how I roll. So anyway, thanks for your question, dude. I appreciate it. Mike Lewis 2456. Tony, I tried on 2 different occasions submitting that same question. I know you wouldn't ignore me. Thanks for mentioning it in tonight's video. Okay, so that was you submitted a question and you said I didn't answer it last week. I was like, if I don't acknowledge it or whatever, then if you send me a question and I don't say I'll add it to the Q&A, or I don't even respond at all, that means I didn't get it at all. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, thanks anyway. The question was rather long and detailed with model numbers. YouTube were being difficult, I guess. Yeah, it sounds like it. It was in regard of the JLC Duo Face Tribute Chronograph of 2023. Thinking of buying it. Yeah. I mean, JLC, dude, they're, I mean, JJ Lecoute or JJ Lecoute or Jaeger Lecoute. Kind of sounded weird. It's a great watch, man. I mean, it's not my thing. My girlfriend, one of the girls I dated, was a polo player, and she won an MVP. She was one of the famous polo players, and she was on the JLC team. She was on the Ferrari team. She gets hired to be on all the exclusive teams, and she won MVP at a polo tournament in Santa Barbara and was presented a JLC Reverso. She threw it in the closet like it was nothing. I was just like, so you know what that is? That's a fucking JLC, man. It's a nice watch. I'm not too into them, but if it's the one I'm thinking of, you're looking at a $25,000 watch, but you got one side is just the time only, right? And then the other side flips over and it's a transparent. It's a skeletonized open worked dial. Sorry, you know what I mean? So it's and it's a retrograde chronograph if that's the one. So yeah, buy it if you like it, dude. So, but I'm glad we were able to talk about it a little bit. Thank you for your question, man. Gregory Enright 4544. What a beautiful watch. You should definitely wear it more often. I think you're talking about this. Thank you. Couple quick questions. One, if money was no object, which watch would you buy? And the same goes for Rolex. Have a great weekend. Well, let's start with Rolex. I already have them. You know what I mean? So that we can already scratch Rolex off because I pretty much have what I want. I might get another OP. I'm still thinking about going up to the 41s, but I'm not sure. And I had 41 OP, and I just thought it was too big. I don't know. I mean, and if money was no object in general, I don't know. I'd get a Patek Philippe for sure. You know what I mean? Maybe a 5168 Aquanaut, or I might even get a 5711. I don't know. But I would like to get one of their, the 6119R is nice. The 6119G is nice. The Calatrava, the 5119 as well. I can probably get one of those anyway. But a couple of their chronographs. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. If money was no object, I don't know. I mean, thanks for your question. Appreciate it, man. This comes from Hello Chris 06. Hey Tony, long time listener, first time caller. Love your content. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. question. What is the starting point for you when you're in the market for the next watch? Do you go by brand, cost, aesthetic, movement? Are there certain aesthetic elements or complications you absolutely love or hate? For instance, I'm not a huge fan of a small seconds, though I couldn't really tell you why, and I usually stick to stainless steel cases. I'd somehow managed to beat up the precious metal case. Take care, dude. Late. Congrats on the Daytona. Awesome piece. Thanks, dude. Appreciate your question. Long time listener and first time caller. um, I don't know. It depends. Again, I like so many different types of watches. I could, you know what I mean? It's like when the Zenith Pilot, came out. I was like, immediately have to have it. You know what I mean? And sometimes, like for instance, the Zenith Triple Calendar, came out, and I was like, oh my god, I have to have it. I have to have it. Even Zenith specifically sent one to Bindi for me, and I didn't freaking buy it. You know what I mean? I love it, but I don't know. There was something that was just So it's aesthetics for sure. You know what I mean? There's a lot to do with it. The movement, not so much, unless it's like a Solita movement in a fucking Cartier. Then I'm not going to buy it. You know what I mean? Because I love the dual time Cartier Santos that came out, but it's got a Solita movement in it. I'm going to spend $9,000 on a freaking $400 movement watch. You know what I mean? But so it just depends, man. You know what I mean? It just depends what grabs me right there. You know what I mean? It's like aesthetics are extremely important, but and if there's a watch that just because it's got some serious history and heritage, but I don't like the aesthetics of it, then I'm not gonna buy it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's what it is. I like small seconds. But all right, man. Thanks for your question. Next one comes from Toasted Bagel 99. Have you ever heard of Ball Watch Company? They make some railroad engineer type watches. Any thoughts on the brand? That Vacheron looks super nice. Do you ever think you would get a pocket watch from one of the watch brands you like, or are they super hard to get? Are there certain luxury brands that don't make pocket watches for some reason? Appreciate it, Tony. Love the videos. Yeah, I mean, most brands don't make pocket watches. Vacheron still make pocket watches. Patek Philippe still make pocket watches. But no, I'm not a pocket watch guy. You know what I mean? Plus, I have nowhere to put them. You know what I mean? I wouldn't. Although I think that that new Vacheron pocket watch, that's only a piece unique. That's got like 60 something complications. It's over $1 million. It's pretty sick. But Ball Watch, yeah, I know them. I don't know much about them. I mean, they're around the 1,000, 2,000 price point, I think. Swiss made, most likely has sleeve movements in them, I would imagine. I've seen them where they have the gas tritium tubes, which I think is cool, but I don't think the gas tritium tubes last anywhere near as long as what these companies say they do. Oh, 25 years of gas tritium tubes. Yeah. I've had so many Luminox, because I used to love those as just beater watches, and I've had so many of them. And tritium doesn't last more than a few years. You know what I mean? It's just, and then they're just kind of dead. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. But I'm not going to diss the watch company. I just don't know a whole lot about them. So, but if you like them, man, by all means. Thanks for your question. Next one comes from Daniel 2217. Question: is there a good reason why the Vacheron Constantin overseas doesn't have hacking seconds? Every other watch I own has hacking seconds, but I see there are several VCs and PPs that don't. VC is Vacheron and PP is Patek Philippe. I'm not going to make something up just to try to answer your question. I think it's laziness what it comes down to. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. And I think it's just laziness. There's like a whole thing about like, no, it's for regulation. It keeps better time, whatever. I find some of the things that I've seen about it is like kind of all bullshit. You know what I mean? There is a way to hack the movement by, stopping the second hand. You can pull the crown out, and as the second hand is moving, you can flick it. I don't know how good it is for the watch. It's like moving it to a counterclockwise, or you slightly, it jars the second hand to stop. I don't know, man. But it's like, but then, a lot of these companies also, like Patek Philippe, they make it sound like the reason why it does it is there's a very good reason for it. Then they come up with some whatever thing, like the 5711 bracelet uses friction pins, not even screws. You know what I mean? Great watch, dude. But then Patek's trying to explain how much better friction pins are than screws. But yeah, they come out with the 5811. Is it the 58? and they're using screws, I believe. There's a lot to that. When you think about it, it's like, dude, you can't even make a bracelet with screws in it. And I don't care what you say, man. Friction pins are not better than fucking screws. But they'll make you feel like that it is. It just definitely has pins in it, and it's the best thing since sliced buttered donkey. I think it's laziness, dude. I think any other excuse you read online or whatever it may be is just all a bunch of garbage. It's just one of those things. They just didn't do it. You know what I mean? They're all very capable of doing it, by the way. And so I mean, my PCs, it hacks. You know what I mean? I don't know why they wouldn't do that in the overseas. You know what I mean? Anyway, this next question comes from FJ7509. Let's see. This is the. By the way, thanks for answering my question on your favorite watch brand, Tony. Since you said you're a huge fan of Vacheron, what are your thoughts on the 56 using the Richemont movement? I think it looks sick, but would love your opinion next week. So that would be today. I mean the 56, and we're not talking about the complication with the moon phase and the calendar. I mean, you're talking about the simple 3-hand with the date aperture. They use a Cartier base caliber. And that's the 1904-PSMC. I wrote that down. You know what I mean? Because I don't have enough room in my memory. But what they do is they get that movement. And it's a Richemont movement, yes, but it's a caliber from Cartier, but it's a Val Fleurier Richemont movement, but a Cartier Val Fleurier movement, right, from the Richemont group. Then what happens is Vacheron Constantin assemble that movement, and then they decorate it, and then they regulate it, and then they come up with their own caliber name for it, and that's what they do. And it's so funny because I brought up the 56 to Ellen, who's the president of Zenith, and she worked for Vacheron for many years. And when I told her I love the 56, she didn't tell me about the caliber. And I go, but it has a Cartier caliber. She goes, I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, why? But I asked her why, and she's like, can't answer that question for you. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a great watch, though. I love that 56, man. I really love it. I really want that watch. And I don't think that's one of the only Cartiers that doesn't bear the Geneva seal, so the hallmark, which, that's what it is. This video is getting long. The next 2 questions are the end. Michael DeMarco, 899, question. Have you ever thought of doing a guitar channel where you show us some of your guitars, history playing, and other cool stuff? I'm also into guitars and watch a lot of YouTubers like Tim Pierce. I have no idea who Tim Pierce is. I think you would do a phenomenal with that content. Not interested whatsoever, man. Don't care. Have no desire to I've done it before anyway. Back, I've got, I'm not a guitar collector. I have a shit ton of guitars, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a guitar like I love watches, man. Guitars were my job, you know what I mean? A guitar is just an instrument for work as far as I'm concerned. So no interest, man, but I appreciate it. And anyway, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Gino816, I hear that one time Rolex and Longines were on the same level. Do you ever see Rolex dropping in popularity or see other brands overtaking them? If so, who? I don't know about Longines being on the same level as Rolex, man. I mean, granted, they make great watches, you know what I mean? Rolex are dropping in popularity now because of, to a certain extent, you know what I mean? There's so much, I'm going to do a video on it. People are fucking disappointed in Rolex. People are pissed off in Rolex. There's a lot of people that are pissed off because they think the AD is Rolex, and with the way that they're making these watches look scarce. Now, keep in mind that the AD is the direct source for a person to get a Rolex brand new. And I think they're, and of course these ADs are representing Rolex. And I know Rolex aren't happy with a lot of what their ADs are doing either. So I don't see them, dropping off the map by any stretch. I think they're going to maintain a lot of popularity because they dominate the market. You know what I mean? And for the most part, people don't care. They're not into watches like us. They have a Rolex because they have a Rolex. People that go to Wimbledon sit at center court to watch Roger Federer when he was playing, or Novak Djokovic or whatever. You know what I mean? Those people aren't like mostly for the most part watch guys. You know what I mean? That's like, so no, I don't see Rolex losing popularity like what you're saying, probably. You know what I mean? But people are a little agitated with them. Anyway, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next one.